Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm very excited to do because I'm going to be ranking holiday launch palettes that I've recently tried and tested, and I've done all separate videos, dedicated videos on them with multiple look tutorials for you guys. Before we get started, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Eve and I love all things beauty. If you enjoy talking about makeup, especially eyeshadow palettes, give this video a like and I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Without further ado, let's get into holiday eyeshadow palettes ranking. I've tried and tested all these palettes that are in front of me today, and I do have dedicated videos with makeup look tutorials for every single one of them. For this ranking, of course, I did consider the cost of the palettes, the color stories, and how much a use I would get out of each palette, and also the formula. Is it user-friendly or required a specific technique? A small disclaimer here, if you're not new to my channel, you guys already know that I do generally love neutrals a lot. However, I also love to play with color, and lately I've been enjoying doing a lot of colorful looks. For example, the look that I'm having on my eyes today. With that in mind, let's get started. And on spot number 5, I do have an empowered eyeshadow palette from Huda Beauty. This is an 18 pen palette, and it does have a very interesting textures here. This palette is broken down technically in half. This portion of a palette is a more cool tone and this side is more of a warm tone. I generally love Huda Beauty eyeshadow formula. I do have all her large eyeshadow palettes, and I do have a good amount of the smaller ones as well. Her mattes are buildable, blendable, easy to work with. They're definitely user-friendly. In this specific palette, she introduced a few new textures. Like we have these two cream bases. You can use them as a base for your eyeshadows and they work pretty well. They do have a little tack to them. You also can use these cream formulas as your eyeliners, which I have been using them. One is more of a brown tone and one is a black shade. There are two different gold shades here. They're more flaky, they're more textured, they apply well or better with your finger. There's a topper shade. This was also an interesting shade that had a clear gel running through. The shimmers in this palette are very beautiful. However, they are more textured. They look a little bit heavier. They're fully foiled shimmers. You get a really beautiful, impactful shine from all these shimmers, and this gold is definitely one of the most beautiful golds I've ever seen. It's a true yellow bright gold shade. I love this formula. I really love all the mattes, and I think the shimmers are very beautiful. It's a very well made palette. However, I just feel like the same way that I said in my dedicated video, this is not your everyday palette. If you are like me, I do love my mattes. However, I also wear really nice, comfortable shimmers for everyday look. This palette gives me a very somewhat heavier shimmers, more suitable for evening time, for festivities. You can definitely use some of these lighter matte shades to create a little bit lighter day wear look. However, I feel like this palette generally runs a little bit darker. I could not say that this palette has too much of a versatility. It is definitely your festive palette, your smoky eyes, your beautiful, impactful shimmers. As much as I think this palette is a really good quality overall, I very much appreciate the creativity, how she always likes to bring something new, innovative, like we have some new formulas here. As much as I like this palette, I do not love it. That's why it makes it to number 5 spot today. On spot number 4, I do have a palette that was a first of its kind to me, to my eyeshadow palette collection, and this is a Pat McGrath Celestial Nirvana Holiday Launch. Pretty colorful palette. We all know that Pat McGrath loves her neutral tones, especially those like pinky shades, and I really love how she did all these bright different matte shades. There is a good balance of mattes and shimmers here. For my liking, for my aesthetics and the way I like to do my makeup looks, I like to play with mattes. I like to create a base for my makeup looks from mattes, even though sometimes I could use a shimmer. However, I do prefer mattes for that purpose, and I really love that there's a variety here. I love that. The shimmer formula is beautiful. In my dedicated video for this palette, I did create the looks that I thoroughly enjoyed, especially the blue one. This is my favorite shade in the palette. This palette, however, does not have any of her special shades, even though for the price I feel like we could have at least one here. I do love the packaging. It is pretty heavy, you guys. I love that there's a mirror, but if you try to hold it up like this, it's pretty heavy, so your arm does get tired. This palette was organized in vertical columns, so there's a rhyme or reason to this colorful story, and I really like how it's organized. If you are newer to eyeshadows, maybe like this larger formats or colorful shades, this layout definitely is helpful, how to match colors together or which colors to use with which. The palette kind of guides you. The reason why I ranked this palette on number 4 today is because, first of all, it's the most expensive palette out of all the palettes that I'm talking about today. Also, it is a limited edition, and her matte eyeshadow formula is a little bit technique sensitive. It takes you a little bit of time to play around with it, to get used to it. On the spot number 3, this is a palette that I have on my eyes today, and this is the newest out of 5. This is a palette that is a holiday launch as well from Lunar Beauty. This is their 12 days of Lunar. It came in the form of an advent calendar, and this is a magnetic empty palette, and all the shades were hidden in each day of the calendar. When I purchased it, I had no idea what the palette would look like. I never tried a Lunar Beauty eyeshadow formula or anything from the brand, really. This is my first item from the brand and my first eyeshadow from them, and I really didn't know what I was getting myself into formula wise or color story wise, and this did not disappoint, you guys. The packaging quality from the outside, like calendar itself, box, was so well made, such a high quality, as well as this palette. He definitely put a lot of thought into it and a lot of work. Little eyeshadows here are magnetic. You can arrange them in whatever way you want to arrange them. I arranged them from day 1 to day 12 right here, just the way I opened up the entire calendar, so I thought it would be just easier for me to refer when I do looks with this palette. The quality for this palette is amazing. I enjoyed it so much. This is the look that I created with this palette today. The mattes are beautiful. They kind of remind me of a Huda Beauty a little bit. They are buildable, they're blendable. They let you to create dimension. You would use one shade and it would look like you use 3 different ones. So it's easy to work with, definitely user friendly. So I was very impressed with the matte formula, and the shimmers are absolutely stunning. Very small amount of kickback, but not a lot of fallout. I am impressed with this palette. I'm definitely excited to create more looks with this, and I know I'll be reaching for it because these are the colors that I love. The only reason why I placed it on number 3 is because I have palettes coming up. They totally have my heart, but also I do feel a slight disconnect between the outer packaging and the inside color story. Even though I love everything, I love the outside packaging and I really love the color story. When I first saw the preview for it, like the outside packaging, I really was expecting something like black and white, silver, blues, purples, something that's like very like winter snowy alike. And when you look inside, you definitely see more of that full color story. So as much as I love everything about it, the quality and like all the shade generally, I thoroughly enjoy this color story, but it's just a slight disconnect between inside and outside. On the spot number 2, I do have a palette that I thoroughly enjoy. This is a Rose Metals eyeshadow palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I love this formula throughout. It's just such a fantastic, easy to work with formula for anybody. The shimmers are very reflective. Some of these shades are like fully foiled on your eyelids. There is some differentiation of color here, like we have this burgundy and more like coppery shades, but for most part it is your neutral, like toned down palette, and it is grungy, you guys. If you love smoky eyes, I think this palette is so nice. It's so close to being number 1, but it is still on a number 2 spot just because there's not a lot of versatility in this palette. And the spot number 1, you guys probably guessed it. I'm pretty sure you did. Spot number 1, I do have my dream palette from Natasha Denona. I've already spoken quite a few times about this palette on my channel and how much I love it. I really have been talking about it left and right, really how great this palette is. You guys, this palette is perfection in my eyes. I'm a neutrals lover, but I do love a little bit of color here and there. And this gives you everything. And of course, we do have this beautiful multi-chrome shade right here that is very pretty. When I created dedicated video with this palette, I shared 8 looks with you guys. When I got this palette, I used it nonstop for 2 weeks because I just feel inspired when I look at this palette. Even though at first you look and you say, okay, this is just another neutral palette. But once you start playing with the shades, you guys, the quality is so nice and it's just so easy to work with considerably. There's a slight learning curve with her matte. Darkest matte right here, I use all the time as my eyeliner and it just does not budge. I can wear it in the office the entire day and it just does not go off your lid. It doesn't fade. The quality is just so solid throughout the palette. I just love this palette so much. I can't just say enough nicest things about it. The eyeshadow pans, they're magnetic. You can pop them out of this palette and put them anywhere else in your travel size palettes or rearrange them the way you want them. This is definitely my favorite palette. Okay guys, this sums up my ranking video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it entertaining. And once again, I do love and enjoy all these palettes. They're different formulas and they do have different personalities to them. Some of these palettes require a little bit of a technique when you apply some of the shades, and some of them are a little bit easier to work with. If you enjoyed this video, give this a like, and I hope you consider subscribing to my channel before you go today. And thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next videos. Bye.